everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio, and I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. I'm really glad you could join me today. And if you're listening to this show on the podcast directory, you can come to dbcoach.podomatic.com to see the page for the show and download and share on social media. Lots of different episodes there. And also, Women Entrepreneurs Radio is on iTunes as well, so you can do a query on there. And find the shows that are listed there as well. And blogtalkradio.com/Coach Deb has an archive of shows going back over 7 years. So it's another place that you can listen in to a lot of the other shows that I've done. So I hope that you will do that. Also, WomenEntrepreneursSecrets.com is the blog for the show, and you can stop by there and check out bios of the show guests and different articles of interest to women entrepreneurs. And we also accept posts and reprints as well. So, you can send a query and see if your content will be a fit for the blog. Also, my site, DeborahABailey.com. You can stop by there and learn more about me. And my books, there's links for different things, including for the show and other blogs and whatnot that I'm up to. So definitely stop by there as well and check it out. Okay, so I'm going to introduce my guest today, Kim Harris, Chief Visionary Officer of IM Community Consulting and Training. And Kim has been a guest a couple of times before, so, I'm sure she's going to share some really good information as she has in the past. And as Chief Visionary Officer of IM Community Consulting and Training, Kim is passionate about helping service organizations and businesses connect with resources, training, and consulting. Responsible for raising more than $2.5 million in grants and sponsorships from companies such as Microsoft, J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Verizon Wireless, American Airlines, Office Depot, and others. She's a recipient of the SBA Women in Business Champion of the Year Award, featured in publications such as the Huffington Post, Dallas Morning News, HERLIFE Magazine, the Chicago Women Magazine, Heart and Soul Magazine, CBS Radio, Radio 1, and her own talk show, Dialogues with Kim, on UA Network. So welcome back, Kim. Really glad to have you.
I am so excited to be back. I'm really all about sharing that information, right?
Yes. That's for sure, and that's something that, we really need to know, the topic that you were going to share about financial capability. And I think that this is something that, these topics about finances, money, of course, will never get old.
Nope.
Because we just have to keep emphasizing them and putting the information out there because people really don't always get this kind of information, and it's really needed. So, why don't you just start out and kind of tell us what exactly do you mean by financial capability?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to give big props to President Obama for even signing this into a national day, or national month, I'm sorry. He, made this April National Financial Capability Month, and it is also in congruent with that is it's National Informed Woman Month. So these two are very, to me, important because not only are we talking about our money, but we're informing other women business owners as well and educating them on different aspects of money. The interesting thing is money for women is one of those topics that, we're beginning to talk about it more, but before it was one of those topics that you just didn't talk about. It was you earned it, you did what you had to do, and then that was it. It just went into this abyss of not knowing what happened after that. How you attain your money and how you manage your money were always very personal bits of pieces of your character or your lifestyle that you didn't disclose. It wasn't something that was an open topic for discussion. And yes, your money is personal. It is, what you do with it is your business. However, when it comes to educating people about their relationship with the money that they have and that they earn, that's a whole different topic. Because whether you know it or not, you do have a relationship with money, and you do reflect your relationship with your money in your lifestyle, in your everyday dealings, how you pay your bills, how you earn it, how you save it, how you invest it, and these are topics that I like to delve into. So being, financially capable, in my estimation, and of course the president has his own definition of what that means. But as far as what I want to talk about today, the financial capability is the ability to have every aspect of your money aligned with your big picture goals, your dreams, the lifestyle that you want to live, and being able to execute it without the stress associated. Now, that might seem a bit of a juxtaposition, if you will. I mean, how is that possible? Most people think about money and they're instantly stressed out because they feel as though there's not enough of it. Either there's not enough of it, or they don't know what to do with it to make it build towards the dreams that they do have. And oftentimes women business owners, especially small business owners, that are really just, within 3 to 5 years trying to get their agendas prepared for the next year and just make sure they stay in the black during that time, they don't think about, the long term, the 20 years down the road when my business is, fully equipped and it's fully running as a well-oiled machine, what that looks like in terms of the money that comes in at that time. And so what I'd like to do today is, I just kind of want to go over some of the things that in, my opinion, and I do want to set a disclaimer here because I have to legally. I am not a certified public accountant, neither am I a licensed financial advisor. However, I do have a good deal of experience, 25 years or more in the financial industry, working for one of the largest accounting firms in the world, and having some background in, taxes and finances. And so I do have a great, platform to build this conversation up on. And these are ideas. I mean, my ideas are not necessarily your ideas, but you might find that one of my ideas may work for you. And so today, I just really kind of want to talk about some of the things, that I have learned over the years, and what I call trips, some of the trips that we make when we encounter aligning our money ideals, which are deep-seated beliefs, with our money ideas, what we actually are living with our money, and without the stress of it.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that's going to be an interesting dialogue here.
Well, I certainly think so, because I really wasn't, aware that it was Financial Capability Month. So I'm really glad that, we had connected on Twitter, and you mentioned that, and I was like, wow, that's perfect, actually, because I wasn't aware of that. I just know all you hear about is tax month and people freaking out about that. So I think it's so good to look at it, financials from a different perspective. And instead of looking at it, it seems the way that the slant is when you hear about taxes, you hear about it from a very negative or resentful or whatever. It's always presented very stressfully, but not presented as something where people can kind of take charge. So I think this is really a breath of fresh air. And I'm really, looking forward to hearing more about it. So, why don't you, give us more about the trips?
And I'm gonna give a little street colloquial here. It's like, stop tripping off your money. Okay, stop tripping about money.
Well, that's true. That fits.
Okay, so I thought, what a perfect acronym. We do trip over money. I mean, we trip about it, we flip out about it because, either we're thinking way ahead of the game or we've spent it before we received it and we don't really enjoy it. And there's so many negative things that bury, that create our deep-seated beliefs about money. Growing up, for me, money was never discussed in our home. In fact, all I remember about money is that when my mother got money, she spent it right away. She didn't talk about it. She didn't. So again, my perception of you get it, you spend it. You get it, you spend it. That's what I grew up with. And so, of course, I had to hurry up and dismantle that because it was sending me down a very deep and dark hole.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that, as we go through these trips, what I call trips, and the T stands for truth and time. So it's T square trip, truth and time, facing the truth about our financial situation and understanding that, even though we think we're doing okay with our finances, we have to really be honest about what we're looking at in terms of where we are in our finances and where we would like to be. And I mean, they always say hindsight is 20/20, and it's true. 25 years ago, had somebody taught me what I know today about money and the relationship, my relationship with it, I'd be a whole lot further along, okay? Because at the time, I was being educated in the financial markets, understanding how those financial markets operated, and making investments, but I was not doing it wisely, okay? And maybe wisdom comes with age, I don't know. But, now I look back and I say, wow, if I knew what I know now and took what I know now and applied it 25 years ago when I was just dabbling and just experiencing in the markets and investing in all of these things, I'd be a very wealthy woman today. And so, but here's the thing, we can't beat ourselves up about what we didn't do because we can't change the past, right? We can only move forward.
Exactly.
The first, understanding truth and time, being truthful about where you are and understanding that in that truth there is some real liberation, some real freedom that happens. Because now you understand that you can change it. You don't have to stay in a position where you're unhappy with your finances, even though you think that you're okay with your finances. It's okay to make the adjustment to elevate it, okay?
Right.
And then time, understanding where you are in terms of your age and the time factor and the mortality of, the reality of your mortality and understanding that, okay, maybe I have another 45, 50 years left. Maybe I don't have that much time left. But in that time, what can I do to solidify my financial future? And working for the largest accounting firm in the world, one of the largest in the world at one point in time, I understood very early in life the time value exchange, and understood that the older I was getting, or the older I became, the less time I had to really invest. And so it's really important to understand that the time value exchange means that the older you get, you might have to become a little bit more aggressive to reach your financial goals. The younger you are, you can be both. You can be both aggressive and conservative, and because you have time on your side, at least, according to theory, you have time on your side. And so you can dabble in both ends. But if you're looking to, say, do $1 million and you're 55 years old and you haven't achieved, $500,000, achieving $1 million is going to be kind of a challenge. And but it's not impossible. And with the right strategy, you can accomplish that. But you do have to be a bit more risky. You have to be a bit more aggressive in what you look for. So time and truth and time is really important with the T and the trips. Okay. The next one is we talk about the R. The R is reevaluate. And it's kind of crossing what I talked about earlier, is that you must take an assessment of where you are. That's part of that truth. Taking a close assessment to reevaluate all of your financial obligations, and then determining the impact on the big picture of your goals. What is it you want to do? I mean, I hear people, we have conversations, you and I have even had conversations, in 25 years, 10 years, I want to be done with this work thing. I want to just travel the world, and I just want to see what's out there. Okay? Looks good in my head. Really does.
Exactly.
It looks real good in my head, okay? But if my money goals and plans are not matching up to that, I'm not going to get there. And I'm going to still be working. And, God forbid, anything should happen where I'm, not able to do anything, and I'm forced to live off of what's left of Social Security, if it's going to be even around at that time, It's just, we have to take all of these factors into consideration and reevaluate our situation and understand the impact on the big picture of our money goals is critical. And, we don't want to overlook our money holes. Women have a lot of money holes. We have a lot of vices, I learned about money holes about 15 years ago. A friend of mine is in the financial markets, and he was saying, Kim, we really take a look at how much money you actually spend on some of the things that you like to do that are not really necessary. And if you took that money and added it up at the end of the year, you could have invested in this or that and the other, right? So I started taking a look at my money holes, and I was spending almost for Starbucks coffee, because I was a big Starbucks coffee fan.
Yes, I know.
It still is, but just not as big as I was then, okay? I was spending $120 a month on coffee.
Wow.
At Starbucks. That's right.
Okay.
Think about it. So that was a huge money hole in my pocket. Multiply $120 a month times 12 months for the year.
Exactly.
That's how much money I was spending on coffee.
Wow.
And and do you think I didn't take a hard look at that and say, wait a minute, I could do so much more with this money.
Exactly.
And I said, and I'm looking at, this was 10 years ago, and I'm looking at how old I am at that time and thinking, well, gosh, okay, let me add that up, because in 10 years, if I keep spending this kind of money, I could, have this amount. So you start doing the math, and when you start, that's what reevaluating forces you to do the math.
Exactly.
And calculate where that money is being spent, how much of it is needed, and how much of it is just subconscious behavior now, because you just do it automatically.
Right. That happens a lot of the time, because the last assignment that I was on had a Starbucks in the cafeteria, and it was just kind of like not the full store that had everything, but the coffee and some little foods or whatever, and they didn't really have their own coffee there. They had whatever they had left in these big awful urns. So pretty much, if you wanted decent coffee, you have to go to the Starbucks kiosk. So of course you get into a thing, and then every day, it's a little bit more discounted, but still, when you're getting I'll get the elaborate coffee today because I feel like it, and before you know it, and then everything with your credit card, because every cashier card, and it adds up, and you don't even realize it until you look at it.
That's right.
I totally get what you're saying.
You look at those receipts at the end of the day or week or whatever, and it's like, wow, really? Yeah. I spent that much, and then, and then what's interesting with women is when we do that, we say, God, we feel the initial shock, but at the same time, we paperclip the receipts together, send them in with our expense reports or whatever, and we do the same thing the next week.
Exactly right. So true.
At the end of the year, when we give our paperwork to our accountants for our taxes at the end of the year, and we hand over those receipts, he's like, do you realize you spent X amount of dollars on this and X amount of dollars on that? And you're like, really? It's like, what does it mean? I'm looking at the receipts.
It's true, though, because it's just things that you don't think about. And even if you think about for a few minutes, then it's like, okay, then you go back to sleep.
Exactly. So I guess, Financial Capability Month is all about waking up, people.
Yes. That's so true. That's perfect.
Come on out of that fog, because I'm telling you, it's leading you down a dark hole of really shaky financial future. And yes, as women entrepreneurs, we grind to make that dollar. Really, really do. And I applaud the women out there, including myself, that are out there doing that every single day to make it happen for ourselves. But my plea to everyone today on the show is to really not only pay attention, make that dollar. Yes, you deserve a treat, but be aware of how many treats you're giving yourself for your success. Okay, treat yourself to an investing account or something like that, all right? Go into a money market rather than, spending the money and just letting it just go away.
Oh, my God.
It's interesting because I read a lot of books and have read a lot of books about money and relationships with money, and I love the story of, the Richest Man in Babylon, one of my favorite books that really taught me about some real important principles about money through the story. And you can get it on Amazon. It's a classic. It truly is a classic. George S. Clason is the author. And when I first started working for I don't want to name the firm, but when I first started working for this firm, my managing partner gave me this book as a gift. And he says, I want you to read this book. It's a very easy read, but he says, I want you to read this book. And he was the one who really introduced me to, the principles of the wealthy. And these principles are very poignantly outlined in The Richest Man in Babylon. And I got to tell you, I still today really, really look at these principles and make sure that I have each of them incorporated in my financial platform, my financial, base, what I build from a foundation, because it is so important to ensure that you have some principles that guide you in your finances in terms of building and creating a legacy of wealth. And, what woman entrepreneur is not working every day to create that legacy of wealth? And like I said, we grind, girl. We want that. We want to make that money, make that paper, as they say. And at the end of the day, though, it matters not how much you make. It matters how much you invest. How much are you really looking to create that financial legacy? So that's where we get to the I in the trips, the investments. The trick to finding good investments is really following financial markets. You do not have to be financial savvy to understand what's going on around you. It's all over the news, for crying out loud.
That's true.
When the oil prices go up, when the oil prices go down, when gas increases, and this is something that I learned through my experience in the financial markets, is that everything around us that we engage in, when we put gas in our car, when we pay our electric bill, when we pay our gas or light bill, all of this is a part of what's happening in our economy.
True.
We cannot get away. I learned when the weather is warm, the gas prices go up.
Mm-hmm.
When the weather is cold, you might get a little bit of a decrease in the gas. But when the weather is hot, when the weather is cold up in the north, in the south, if the weather is warm, we get the higher gas prices, not them. So, we have to watch out for things like that. When the gas prices are higher, your electric bill is going to be higher.
Right.
It's just paying attention to what your environment is, what's happening in your environment, what's happening around you. When you hear of stores closing, major department stores like Macy's recently closing hundreds of stores, Walmart even closing some stores. You have to be aware of some of the things that are happening in economy.
Exactly.
And
you're right.
And not just watching the news for all the, stuff that's going on locally with the murders and all this stuff, all this bad news. I'm talking about tuning in to like a CNN or MSNBC or, something that talks about financial markets and economy, global economy. I love, flipping through on Saturday mornings and catching those financial stations that talk about what's going on with the different IPOs.
Right.
Which companies are, what's going on in the health markets, what's going on in, in the tech markets, what's going on, just paying attention, and understanding that all of this is having a tremendous impact on the direction of where our economy is going. Where our economy is going to directly impact and trickle down eventually into how your business is doing. And, how you're able to do business. I think, a lot of people are unaware, and this is one of the things I wanted to, just kind of do a side note on with in terms of investments, is a lot of people are unaware that we're already in a digital currency market, although it's not fully implemented.
Right.
And what I mean by that, right now, I know a few people that carry cash. And I'm sure you do too. Very few people carry cash anymore. We either pull out a debit card, a Visa, a MasterCard, some kind of credit card, some type of electronic device. And if you've noticed in the last couple of years that people are now able to pay with their phones, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the iPhone where you could pay with Apple Pay. We've got Google Pay. So just look at the industry that's being impacted with digital transactions. And guess what? That's the next major disruption that's happening. And it happens right up under our noses. Before we know it, we have all been transitioned without us even knowing it.
Right.
And the thing about disruptions is that they happen so subtly that they seem to happen suddenly.
Yeah,
remember when we went from analog to HD TV? And remember when the announcement was made that if you don't have an HD TV service, you will have to get a converter box because you'll no longer be able to access television stations through analog.
Right.
Now, I remember when that happened, but I remember before it happened, I had started noticing that all of the cable stations, all of the cable companies, there were quite a few mergers at the time. There were indicators that there was a disruption about to happen. And then, boom, there it went. The big announcement. If you don't get your converter box by X number of days, you won't be able to watch TV. So guess what?
That's for sure.
And you talk about pull the plug on an entire industry. That was literal. But think about how it impacted and entire industry, the media industry, the entertainment industry, and those people at the top of the food chain in terms of the 7% curve, right? The rest of us just followed along. And they became very wealthy because they were the ones who created the converter boxes. They were the ones who saw boxes was where you should have put your money if you were in tune to the markets.
Right.
Because
right.
that's part of the investment. But that's what my point gets back to investments and looking at the market and the global economy, what's going on in the global economy, what's changing, what are some of the major changes on the horizon. Digital currency is one of those major changes. Digital currency is where I've placed some money for investment because I know it's coming. And it is one of these things that, I know it's going, once it changes, it never goes back. You understand? So once we get rid of fiat currency, which is dollars and cents, as we know it today, and it's slowly but surely fading away because everybody's using credit cards or some kind of electronic payment method, then we're going to be forced to use digital currency.
Exactly.
So, finding investments that is going to secure your future are usually good investments are those that are going to make major disruptions where life will never be the same.
Right.
That's my,
A lot of people, I think, don't realize that because there's so, there just seems to be so many layers of things going on where people are still using one type of technology while another type is coming in, and so to some degree, for some people, the technology coming in is kind of invisible to them because, you're talking about disruptions, and I hear things about things like Uber and hearing terminology like sharing economy, and, to some degree, a lot of that kind of thing was around before. But it went away.
Right.
You talk to people, like particularly my mom, her parents owned a farm and owned their property and how they interacted with other people in the community. And it sounds like a lot of sharing economy to me, household communities and towns and whatnot, work together, help each other, had stores and different trades and things like that is not exactly a new thing. Of course, in other parts of the world it certainly isn't. But I think here for some people it seems like a brand new idea that, they're I guess I've never really heard of before, but to me it has its roots in things that have happened in the past. But then, as was really my point what I was going to make was, for instance, when you were looking at things like the Internet, how that has like, say, disrupted entertainment, if you talk about, like, television, and the things going on with that, where television was, I old enough to remember 3 channels. And, UHF and PBS, you know what I'm saying? And then suddenly, now I can have my Roku, and I can watch Netflix and 100 other channels, and I don't really even have to deal with regular television. But
That's right.
On some level, the people who are running that still haven't they're not opening their brains to the fact that they're going to lose this, I think, going to lose this battle, or, they're still going on like nothing has changed, but it has changed. And I think what you're saying is so important because there's like all these different tracks going on at the same time where people are still doing what they did. And then there's this other stuff coming in that some people just aren't even acknowledging.
That's right.
And when it comes to finances and business, and, I think we talked about this before, where, the nature of the, global economy and digital and everything you're saying, if you can have a business online and you can have people all over the world who you deal with, and you're dealing with money in a different way than just actual cash in hand or saying someone a check, but I can do this digitally. I can do all these things, and I'm looking at currencies and blah, 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 and all that. It changes everything. But then to some degree, there's still I think this to some degree, like in the media, popular media, whatever, mainstream, you don't see these things really addressed as much as I think you should. And even if you see them like in the financial publications, a lot of times people aren't going to read those. I know, some of them will put you to sleep.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But the average Jane and Doe does not indulge in those types of content. They simply not.
Exactly.
It's not but it's available. You'll notice in my feed, I periodically, and I'm very careful about it, I drip that kind of information to my followers because you cannot consume this in a night and expect to understand it all.
You're right.
You just can't. And the average person cannot. And it's not anything wrong with that person in terms of that. It's just that, like mainstream media does not put a focus on it. Therefore, our interest is not piqued. We don't have somebody, an Oprah show talking strictly about how to, grow your money. You understand what I'm saying? So it's how it's portrayed in the media. And again, unless you just have an interest in financing or an interest in global markets and global e-commerce, you will not seek it out. And that's just the way it is. And this, the whole transition with the television issues, like our TV, like you said, the regular TV is disappearing. Even the flat screens are disappearing. Why?
Yeah.
Because people watch television on their tablets, on their phones. If they want to catch an episode that they missed, they go to Hulu.com.
Yeah.
You understand? It's just there's just not the need to go home and watch TV. Remember, there was TiVo first.
That's right. Yes, I forgot about that.
So you missed the episode. All you had to do was TiVo it if you knew you weren't going to be there. Well, now who does TiVo anymore when you can go to Hulu and get the darn episode anytime? Watch it at work.
Yes.
Okay? Have your tablet up to the episode and then work on your laptop and write your, dissertation or whatever. I mean, really.
That's so true. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that because I remember that when it came out, it was really, disruptive, and suddenly now people didn't have to be home to watch a show if they missed it or something. Now that they could watch it any time, and then it was fine. Other shows, I think, that was related to that the show you picked and all that kind of thing, and it's very true. It's all these things that happen that people don't realize. Okay, this is something that's going to change everything else, because just a quick note, when I was talking to someone about I think some old TV shows, and I'm saying, a lot of those old shows, that I definitely watched, like Star Trek and I Love Lucy, I said, a lot of those people didn't get money for residuals because the payments ended at a certain amount of time. Because back in their mind, I guess whoever drew up the contract, of course, is like, well, we're only going to show it X amount of times and that'll be it.
Yep.
And no one's thinking ahead to what's going to happen, in the future in television, that these things are never going to go off, they're going to be on forever, that they're just going to keep evolving. No one is looking ahead of that. So now the actors and the creative people kind of, because they got screwed.
Right.
Because now this stuff is out there and they get nothing, and people are assuming they have all this money.
Right.
And,
you
look at people now creating media, like writers and artists, who now have to look at what new media is going to come out that my stuff may be used on. Am I going to get compensated? Am I going to get paid for it?
That's right.
It's all just so many things are happening that, how does the person who wants to keep control of their money and their creation, their business, their trying to say what's coming and how can I make sure I protect myself and my income.
That's right.
That takes, as you said, to be aware of everything going on around you. That is so, so true.
It is. It is. And you know, just a clue, just to give a clue to the listeners on some of the disruptions that are underway, even as I speak. Health industry. So you might want to look at what's going on in the health industry and how it's going to impact the world, the global economy. Okay, so that's one area. There is the digital currency area again. Look into digital currency, and you can, you know, like I said, I put stuff out there all the time. In a very, very subtle way about digital currency, so that, you know, people can learn about it and understand that it is happening. But this is also an area of investment that you might want to consider. And then also the final one, the final area is in our oil industry, our ecology, the global warming, the transitioning of everything green, the car makers that are, you know, coming on board with creating cars that use other alternatives to gasoline. So you'll want to look into those industries, because these are all going to be very major disruptions. When I say disruptions, I mean I'm talking about a subtle transition that is going to actually change the landscape of how we move in these areas or industries, but are going to impact us in a positive way, not in a negative way, but positive way, and could be very lucrative for those who invest in those industries.
That's very
okay. Yeah. So that's, you know, when I talk about financial capability, I'm talking about paying attention, really paying attention to the things that are happening around you, understanding that there are disruptions happening even though you're unaware of them, and to take action by finding a licensed, not licensed CPA, but a licensed broker, financial broker, or a financial organization. I use TD Ameritrade, been using them for years, that can give you the financial guidance that you need to make investments that are wise. That was not a plug for TD Ameritrade. I think they're great because they allow me to do my thing online, and I, you know, being a little bit financially savvy, can do that. But you might need somebody who's more hands-on, that can hold your hand through the investment process and educate you a little bit more and help you understand how that works. But pay attention, folks. I mean, really, ladies, women, especially women, you know, we're more savvy. We're making more money than we've ever made before, but let's be more savvy about how we invested and create our financial legacies, because we're not just talking about how we live for the moment, but how we want our children and our children's children to be established and educated in the wealth arena. And, you know, that's about elevation right there. That's all about elevating and empowering you to think more than beyond what's happening and what you want for that moment. You know, think about when you have passed your company on and you're selling your company to generate more wealth. A smart woman once told me that don't build a business or don't create a business to live in your business. Create the business to sell it. Build the business to sell it. Because if you're not building your business to sell it, then you're not looking at the wealth that can come from that. I mean, you know, think about Doreen Rainey, for example, and I know a lot of people are familiar with her online. She's the radical, you know, queen of radical. Okay, she did the conferences for years, and she built a online university, and she built that business to sell it. And guess what? She sold it to Steve Harvey for an undisclosed amount. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of strategy that invests in your future. This is about making your money work for you, your ideas work for you, and you're not constantly working for it all the time. And that's what true investment is. And so And these are kind of things that make you financially capable. So now I want to go to that P in the trips. The P in the trips is the planning. You know, and I'm not talking about just sitting down planning out your dollars. Bob Proctor taught me a very valuable strategy for understanding how my money could be used. And the strategy is this, that you sit down and you write down everything that you think you want to experience in your life. If you had the money today, what would it be that you would want to experience in your life? What would you want to have? How would you want to live? And then write the dollar amount that you think that it would cost to have that. All right? And once you do that, tally it up, because that's the number it's going to take you to live that lifestyle in a year's time. And what's interesting about that process is this. When you go through the process of writing down how much you think it's going to really cost you. Now, for me, I'm an A type when it comes to doing those kind of exercises. So I guess what? I go out, I find out how much is it going to cost to, how much electricity is it going to take me to use in a 5,000 square foot home? How much, how much groceries am I going to need to fill up that Sub-Zero freezer? How much, you see what I'm saying? So that's how anal I get with it, okay? So, I mean, I'm not saying you have to do that, but that really helps in terms of understanding how much it actually costs you to live the lifestyle that you think you want to live.
Right.
Because most people say, I want to be rich and famous, or rich and I want to have this, that, and the other, but they have no idea how much it costs. If you want a Bentley, how much does it cost to take that Bentley in to get a regular maintenance? How much does it cost to replace a flat tire? How much does the gas cost? How much gas does it actually use? What's the mileage per gallon? What are those numbers? What does it look like? Because once you give it a real number, and once you associate a real number to that, to having that experience, you can understand how much money you really need to be making in order to have that lifestyle. Okay, so planning, that's part of the planning process. And it takes time. You got to understand that this is not going to happen overnight. Right. And it's going to take some time. So if you've got a lifestyle that's going to, that you've created through this process of planning, using that Bob Proctor technique, and let's say it takes you $2.5 million to live that lifestyle. Okay, $2.5 million. How am I going to generate that $2.5 million? Of course, it's going to take some planning to uncover ideas to create that $2.5 million to live that lifestyle. So and here's a strategy within a strategy. Instead of thinking about how many products or books or speaking engagements you can get to get that $2.5 million, how about this? How about cutting that effort in half, taking the money that you make from those efforts and putting it to work for you, to work for the other half. Does that make sense? So in other words, okay, if I need to, let's round it up. Let's just say $3 million, right? So I need $1.5 million in actual income, right? To take that $1.5 million actual income and put it to work, put half of that to work for me so that I'm not working to create that other $1.5 million.
Exactly.
So find investments with the money that you bring in that will double the money that you bring in, or triple it, or even quadruple it, okay? Because that's how you cut your physical effort in half and still meet your financial goal.
That
all right?
makes sense.
Okay. Most people out here breaking their neck, killing themselves, getting sick, having heart attacks, trying to make that money because they don't understand that the money should really be working for them. If they would cut down on some of the vices and take the money and invest it into something that is going to multiply for them, you have to think of your money, your dollars, as employees, if you will. And you say, this $10, you talk to it. Talk to your money. $10, I want you to go out and generate 1,000 more like you.
Mhm.
So I want you to go work for me by, I'm going to employ you. I'm going to put you in the employ of a Walmart stock.
That makes sense.
Okay? And then you look at those dividends that come back from that investment, and you say, are you working hard enough? And if you're not, okay, well, then we're going to take what you've multiplied and put all y'all together in another team and put you in another stock. You understand? So you have to think of your money as employees. Your money should be working for you. You work for it initially, but then you put it to work for you. So that's part of that plan.
That makes so much sense because I don't think that people look at that having money work for them. It's the other way around.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why you stay in a continual grind.
Yes.
Because you're continually working for it. And then, of course, it gets sucked away in the money holes, you know. So you're always in this unyielding cycle of, you know, trying to create more, and it's not happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's true.
So
that's true.
Let me get to my final point. Save. S. Save. Sock away more than you spend. You know, one of the things that I learned while I was in my financial training, I would say my financial training life, when they were training me about money, I learned one of the principles in the Richest Man in Babylon is to save more than you spend. And people say, well, I don't have enough to save after I pay all my bills and blah, 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 blah. I don't have enough money to save. Okay, well, we're going to reverse this. Instead of creating a spending budget, you're going to create a saving budget. Let's switch it around, okay? So let's create a saving budget. And so before you pay any bills, take out how much money you want to save. So, for example, out of $1,000, you say, I want to save $10 out of every. Let's make it simple. Yeah, $10 out of every $100. Okay, every $100. So at the top, right off the top, 10% comes out and put into whatever savings. And when I say save, I'm talking about either your investments or your retirement or whatever other saving mechanism that you use. But it comes right off the top, and then after that, you do whatever else you need to do. Now, what I have found about this is once you do that, create that discipline, you hardly even notice that the money is not there. In other words, you've saved it now, you just do it out of habit, and now you don't even notice that you're not doing it.
Right.
I mean that you know what I'm saying, that you don't have that money in your budget. And so just make a decision about how much that looks like. What does it look like for you? One of the business practices when I was in my networking life, because this was another life that I lived too, when I was doing network marketing, I did network marketing for Mary Kay. And although I'm not a big fan of the model that they use, they do have some very great training materials. And one of the things that I learned while I was living that life was that out of 100% of what I made, 40% should go back into my business. And 60% could be for whatever I wanted it to be. So what I did was I took that 40% and put it back into my business, bought more inventory or whatever it is I needed to purchase for the business. And then the 60%, which was now my new 100%, I would take 10% of that, put it in my savings, and then the rest I would pay my bills with. See, so you've got to come up with a formula that works for you, okay? So that your business continues to grow, that your investments continue to grow, and your savings continue to grow, and that you are, in fact, truly creating some financial capability for your future legacy, period.
That makes so much sense. And as you said, for people to do what works for them, instead of feeling that, well, I can't do it exactly the way this person said I should do it, or this person in the magazine or this book, then I can't do anything.
Right.
You know, and the frustration comes in, and then people feel like, oh, I can't. and then they know that they're falling behind, but then they don't know how to change it because they think there's a right and a wrong way to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very true, and just basing that on ways I have felt when, you see these articles that all seem to say the same things and talking about, well, you have to budget, you do this, do that, and I'm like, well, I can speak for myself. In New Jersey is a very expensive place to live, and you may have all the good intentions, but maybe doing exactly what they're saying you should do is not going to work. So maybe there's some other ways that you have to look at how you can move forward in what it is that you want to do and financially. And,
that's right.
You may not think that way. If you don't know about money, as you said, people don't talk about it. It just leads to frustration. Everybody complains about it. Yep. Terrible things. And you fall right into the trap. Yeah.
Now, here we are. One of the things that I really wanted to say at the beginning was HR Block is really good at changing their marketing. They changed their marketing a few years back, and I mean, I love these commercials, okay? This dude is just, he's off the charts with it. But what I noticed about how they're marketing tax season is they're calling it refund season. So guess what? Instead of it being a bad thing, it's a good thing now because guess what? We're all getting money back, right? Well, at least that's the hope. All right. So now, but here's the thing. This is something else that we do, and I think it's just across the board. People in general take that refund money, and they just spend it on having a good time, going on vacation maybe, buying a few extra things around the house. And my recommendation is next year, if you haven't, made plans for your refund this year, or if you've already made plans for your refund this year, next year, take that money and invest it in something. Invest it in a stock or in a few stocks, or invest it in an annuity, or invest it in a life insurance plan. Invest it in something that's going to multiply and come back to you 2, 3, 4 times as much as it did when you initially invested it. Do that instead of spending it on something that is not going to appreciate in value.
Exactly.
Okay. I know, we're all happy we're getting the little change back that we overpaid anyway for the year. And that's all it is. It's an overpayment of taxes. Your refund is an overpayment of taxes. It's not the government giving you money. The government does not give you money. Let's be clear. Okay.
Oh my God.
The government does not give you money. You just getting back what you gave the government. You just getting it back. They are reconciling their books, people.
Oh my God. So true. That's the perfect way to put it. Definitely. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So, get happy. Get happy about the fact that you're getting back what you put in. That's all.
That's so true. That's so true. And yeah, it's how you frame it, how you look at it, how your orientation to it. It's like, okay, let's see where this is coming from and what how I need to look at this a little differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
That makes so much sense.
Oh.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's the tax fallacies and beliefs. That's a whole other. That could be a whole other by itself. Yeah, because we've definitely heard it all about that and how people, I feel how working people look at it and how probably the wealthy may have a different take on it, and some, seem to want to hide their
completely
money.
different.
Others take a different approach. Money's interesting. Money's a very, very interesting topic. It's definitely one of those hot button topics that.
That's right.
Yeah, has a lot of reactions to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we had an opportunity to really kind of go over this because, I mean, these are ideas that I have about money and things and principles that I use in my own money life. And, when I have programs and plans within my business services that will help businesses to understand how they can capitalize on some of the tax, laws that are out there that a lot of everyday normal folk don't know about. And so because I'm very tapped into the pulse of the financial market and want to be able to help as small business owners to utilize some of these strategies that the wealthy use to protect their money, to increase their money, to have their money increase over time based on some of the investments in the markets that they make. And they do this on a regular basis. This is normal for them folks. This is something they do as a part of their day-to-day strategy of living, period.
Exactly.
Period.
You're right. You're right. There was we're a few minutes ago, but, as you were talking, as you were just saying right now, I can remember looking at QVC, which can be a very dangerous place. For people who have shopping addictions, because that can be tough. But they had Jacqueline Kennedy. They had some reproductions of her jewelry, and I think they also have like Elizabeth Taylor and a lot of these places who have like these iconic pieces. And the thing that they were giving background and history on it, and you realize that they, in a sense, these pieces were investment pieces. They invested in them, and then they may have that in the safe or wherever, and then they're wearing the paint.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's it.
And this item now goes up in value. It doesn't go down in value.
Nope. That's right.
Yeah, people also investing in wines and things that you don't even think about because maybe that's not part of what or your friends know or your family talks about, and you go, wow, there's places you can put your money that this doesn't decrease in value. It increases in value.
That's right. That's right.
That's
precious metals.
Yeah.
Precious skins. It's so many things. So many things. So take that next year's check. Take 2017 refund.
Yes.
Take the whole year to figure out what you want to invest in.
Yes.
Buy a first edition book or a piece of artwork or
You're right.
Come on now.
But that's the conversations that we need to have more of. And as you mentioned, Doreen Rainey, I'm familiar with her. Was on her mailing list, and I saw, when she announced, Steve Harvey was, doing that, and that's the thing. So many people start businesses thinking, well, I'm preparing this, down the road to sell this thing that I built. You don't really hear people say that. But they're just kind of laboring and trying to get this going, and they may not even know themselves why they're doing it because they just don't want to work with someone, or they feel like, well, I guess it may be easy because that's what a lot of people are telling people that it's so easy to do, and it's a whole other topic. But yes, so many misconceptions out there, and I'm so glad that you're cutting through a lot of that and letting people know to kind of open up as you said, the information's out there. It's just a matter of pointing people, I think, in the right direction and opening their mind a little bit that there's a better way to do things. And definitely for women entrepreneurs, I think we a lot of times are the ones managing the money, whether for ourselves or families or whatever, and you really have to be thinking differently than I think we have in the past. So I think it's important. Could you please share with everyone where they can find you, find out more information?
Absolutely. Okay, so first you can go to my website at www.iam-community.com. That's www.iam-community.com. Got a freebie for you there if you want to, download it. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. Twitter is one of my favorite platforms, and I do check it regularly. My handle is at MSK Harris. That's M.S.K. Harris. And also, if you just want to send me an email, you got questions about different things or whatever, you can email me at kim@iam-community.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that's terrific. Ways for people to get in touch if they want more information and, find out what services you offer. I think there's a few good ways for them to do that. So, Kim, this time has gone by so quickly, but it's such a fantastic topic, and, I know we've just scratched the surface of it, but I want to thank you so much for joining me today to share all your insights and experience with the listeners.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, everyone, I know you've enjoyed the show. Definitely share this with others. It doesn't just have to be conversation for tax season or April. So, make sure that you share it with others, particularly people going into business who are in business, or, even people who aren't and are just trying to figure out what the best ways to manage their money. It's really important. I think more people kind of open up and talk about it. So, please make sure you share information with everybody that you know. Okay, once again, some Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you again next time. Bye-bye now.